Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Today's episode is a subject that really hits close to the home for every firefighter who's ever sweated through a call in heavy kit, felt restricted during a rescue, or wondered why their gear still feels like it was made for someone else. Joining me today is Vicki from MSA Bristol, one of the leading names in Firefighter PPE, and we're diving into the gear that keeps us all alive. But this isn't just another tick box on safety. We're talking smart, role-specific, fit-for-purpose protection, designed for the real world, where no two jobs are the same. MSA's campaign PPE for the Changing World isn't about chasing trends. It's about giving you the right kit for the right call. Because let's face it, 95% of the time, we're wearing full structural gear when we don't need to. That means heat stress, fatigue, and slower performance. And that's costing us. From hybrid kits and stretch rescue wear to modular designs and game-changing helmet options, this isn't future talk. This is gear that's already here. Plus, Vicki brings a powerful perspective on inclusive PPE that actually fits all firefighters, not just the standard issue frame. We'll talk wildland, rescue, structure, procurement, innovation, and why listening to firefighters like you is finally starting to shape what we wear. This episode is a call to care more about your kit, because the job's changing, and your gear should too. Let's get into it. How long have we known each other now?
I would say a good 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. Did we meet at one of the challenges first off? We met in so many places. It was either the Emergency Services Show or it was one of the challenges.
Show, British Firefighter Challenge, generally being on the circuit as well, different
AFSA
events.
Stuff, women in the fire service.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've got 8 arms and you get everywhere and everybody seems to know you, which is a real privilege to me because obviously we know each other on a first name basis. How's Pete and the family? How's everybody?
Yeah, doing really good. The boys are growing up. Wyatt was only a baby when I came into the sector, and he is turning 6 next month.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's how I time frame stuff as well.
Yeah.
When I think, I'm like, how old was Lily? When I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. Do you know what I mean? Like, she always talks about people that she knows in the sector, whether it's MSA, whether it's Gore, whether it's Simon from Hikes. You know, she kind of references things like that. I use that as a timeline because I'm actually rubbish with dates and stuff like that. Are you, have the boys still got aspirations for the fire service? Obviously, I'm just
yes,
trying to pitch that
because
bit of
there is fire
recruitment
kits in my house. They see me. They know I go to different events. I send them pictures. I ring them when I'm there. I show them what I'm doing. They like to try on the helmets. Obviously, they're all brand new and clean, so nothing from a contamination perspective. But my oldest, he wants to be a firefighter or a teacher. And the little one wants to follow his daddy and be in the Marines.
I feel like Marines, I don't know. Thing with firefighting is there's not a lot of money in it. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, my sister and my missus are teachers. But that is also a very, very difficult job. So they're all service oriented. You're just like a service family. I love that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Family's all about giving. I wanted to jump on with yourself today. That sounds really formal. But like, we've been doing so much work with MSA over the last year. They've been kind enough to supply the Pink Firefighters with their kits. We are rolling into challenge season. The gang are all uber excited. And it kind of got me thinking on, we've never really gone into the depths of our sort of relationship with MSA because so much happens behind the scenes and people ask about it. And I was like, well, the lead on this, the lead on that. They're pushing the barriers with some of the BA and some of the, interactive. All of the new firefighting gear, Bristol and MSA. And we didn't even talk about, when MSA took on Bristol. There's been so much evolution when we think about PPE for the changing world. And it's something that commonly comes up at women in the fire service. So I had like a list of things. So my ADHD will probably drag us in 27 directions today. But I know, because we've had a lot of time together before, you will tug on my leash, if you excuse me.
We can bit and bob, we can go around, we can come back. That's no problem.
I wanted to, in your time now, I wanted to start with like, what do you feel has changed in the world of PPE? Because the way they're designed, the stuff that's in them, trying to make it more suited to all of, because we talk about inclusivity and diversity in the fire service, but there's an irony sometimes, like 10, 15 years ago, we didn't really have, as much as you would remove barriers and written policies, PPE was one of the things we were trying to catch up with, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I mentioned, I've been in the sector now for just over 5 years, and even in the 5 years, the conversations I was having when I first started have completely changed.
Mm.
It used to be mainly around the structural garments, everyone was really keen to know what was going on with them. And there was a little bit, dedicated wildfire teams and rescue teams, and maybe a little bit on high volume pumping. But nobody really thought about what applications they were using the garments for. It was just purely structural because
Yeah.
that's the firefighter badge, that's the uniformity.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's always known. And
Mm.
I would say a couple of years now that really the narrative's been changing. I know in the background there's been the World Health Organization doing what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, but really on the ground, in the circuit, when the information's been getting down to the end user, I would say it's been about 3 years that it's really been changing. And people have definitely been looking at what they are wearing, why are
Mm-hmm.
they wearing it, and how is it helping them, or is it not helping them?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we wearing structural fire kit for everything? As we know,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the service, we're looking at about 93% of the time, it's an everything else garment. Yet everyone's still got this structural kit that is the badge of honour, let's wear it, let's
Mm-hmm.
do it, we are firefighters. And it's great, I absolutely love firefighters. They're a different,
It's
absolutely
great for
different
the
breed.
tool that it was originally intended for. Do you know what I mean? It's perfect. It's
Definitely.
fantastic. And it's getting better and better
Yeah.
and better for that. But like you said, the role is just diversifying so much. So when you think about the adaptability of it, the ergonomic principles of it, we're not saying don't have it, but we're saying you're operating in multiple environments. So we
Yeah,
can't just
wear it for the
have
right
this,
reason.
we can't have the sheep dip approach. I think that's one of the things MSA's really led with, I think.
Definitely. I mean, if we go back to 3 years ago, 2022, when we had those horrendous wildfires spreading all over England,
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading there was about 25,000 wildfires that year, which was completely unprecedented.
Yeah.
People hadn't really thought about their lightweight option. So you saw on the news, you saw firefighters in structural leggings and their workwear or their station wear t-shirt,
Stripping down.
40 degrees heat, passing out, melting,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sweating profusely, fighting these horrendous fires. And then with the added temperature, I mean, nobody could have predicted that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're in 2025, and I saw on the news earlier, the area that's been burned this year has already met the annual amount.
God.
So we've already reached the annual amount, and what are we, the 16th of May?
Yeah.
And
It's
we've
mad,
only
isn't
just
it?
started.
Yeah.
And, not everybody has that additional kit. Some people only have structural fire garments. Some people do have a rescue jacket as well. But they don't have that dedicated garment that can be that single layer that can help against that heat stress, that can really, help them with what they're doing. And that's where, working for MSA, that's where we're going. We have, though we've been developing those different options, we do a lot of voice
So
of
there's the
customer.
hybrid one, isn't there? And then there's the
There's a
specific
hybrid.
wildland one as well.
Dedicated wildland,
Yeah.
dedicated rescue, and then a mixture of both of those. So the wildland is our X4 wildland. It's a single layer garment. The rescue stretch is our dedicated technical rescue, 16689.
I
And
think
then
I
we have
tried that one on when I was down
You
at that.
did.
I was pulling all sorts off the racks. I like
Yes.
when you say the stretch thing. That sounds
It's got a
stupid and
four-way
obvious.
stretch. And you're a big guy, Pete. Like,
Yeah.
firefighters, male and female, you're athletic. You've got muscles in areas that most of us don't. You've got that additional, you've got the, around the seat and the thigh area. You need that stretch. You don't need that restriction. You don't need to be, hemmed in by what you're doing. And this is what we do all of our VOC days. It's talking to you lot.
Men and women generally were different shapes, but it seemed that for the longest time we just kind of had a sheep dip approach to that. How do you begin to have get this quite personal information from people? Because obviously there's a lot of people screaming out for it. They want that help, but I would struggle to like get into that conversation with people. Where does the sort of data come from? And then is it sort of feeds through the company's processes or the procurement processes? Like, how many sort of sizes and shapes can we facilitate for? Because otherwise it becomes really expensive if everyone's getting personalized fire kit. I'm very lucky from MSA. Obviously I've got the pink stuff and these are all sized and shaped to us, but this is a very champagne situation, and also it's not something I would necessarily wear in a firefighting situation.
No. It's looking at how the conversation starts. It's getting down and it's talking with the firefighters. It's always great to engage with, the fire chiefs and the procurement teams, but actually speaking to the people that are wearing those garments. We do the voice of customers. My job as a UK sales manager is to travel around. That is my predominant job. I am on the road. I'm talking to you guys. I'm hearing what you're saying. And at the events we do, we bring our design team as well. So it's not just a sales team listening to and trying to think, what can we sell people? That's not what it's about. It's bringing in the design team. It's bringing in the compliance team. And it's bringing in, those different departments so we can make sure that they're hearing it firsthand. They're not listening to my interpretation of what the firefighters are saying. They're listening to their firsthand. And our design team, we have them on site. They're absolutely incredible. And for them actually hearing, for example, Christian is our head designer. He came to the VOCs. He was down. He was watching how the firefighters bend, how they stretch, how they move, because you can't hear that. You have to see it. Yep. And he can go, oh, right, okay, so you've got a bit of extra stress there on that thigh. Right, so do we need to widen that gusset? Or what do we need to do in that area? Or how are we looking on the waist? What adjustments do we need? Look, and he does all of that. And he can come and he can hear it firsthand. And it's invaluable listening to the firefighters and getting that. And then what we do from that is we tend to mock up the garments, we do wearer trials, and we put it into application. Because we know sometimes what we want isn't always practical. It can be really nice to have an idea. And then you go, well, actually, now I've tried that. Yeah, it doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you know what? At least we've tried it. So we've ticked that box. And now as a firefighter, we've listened to you. But it doesn't actually work, and that's fine. Let's think of the next solution.
It's a very long and expensive process, so that is, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. It is, but it's worth it.
But you know what? I do appreciate that, because ultimately someone's always paying the cost. And what I mean by that is the cost of not doing it historically is someone spends a career in uncomfortable gear, which will affect their morale at work, will affect their operational effectiveness when they're out there doing the job. Yeah. Because everyone, as a very simplistic example, we know what it's like to try and run around in boots that are too small or too big. And if you have that, it's the old picture where you see predominantly female incident commander in the tabards that we used to issue that were just ridiculously big, even big on me. You know what I mean? They used to drown people. And you just think, how competent, comfortable does that person feel? It's almost demeaning to make them wear that. Yeah. And it just screams a lack of inclusion. Any member of the public looks at them, perhaps with slight condescension, and goes, that's clearly not their jacket. And you go, well, yeah, they are. Yeah. We've just not given them the right gear. This episode is brought to you in partnership with Godiva Limited. Godiva is one of the world's leading providers of specialist equipment for emergency services market. Godiva produces a comprehensive range of fire pumps, including vehicle-mounted, portable, and their cutting-edge integrated total water flow control system, SAMFlows. I've been using Godiva my entire career as a reliable pump on the fireground. It is such a crucial element of a successful firefighting team that you want to empower your crews with the very best, reliable, quality product. Reach out to our partners by checking the notes in the podcast. Now back to the show.
Exactly. And we hear loads of people saying, yeah, okay, well, it's not a fashion parade. Well, no, it's not a fashion parade, but we need comfort, we need ergonomics, we need dexterity. So nobody's saying you're going to wear this fire tunic down to the club, but you need to be wearing it and you need to feel comfortable, because the last thing, if
I've only done that once, to be fair, and I still get told off about it
Don't
now,
tell
but
you,
let's not go there again.
But if you've got something on and you're constantly faffing with it, you're having to pull things down and readjust and manoeuvre, how much of a distraction is that? I mean, I'm not a firefighter, but I know from my personal clothing, for example, my bra strap, if that falls down, it's really annoying and it's a distraction. The last thing you need is your brace to be falling down.
Oh, yeah.
Or
you know what? That's a massive point. So that thing in the middle of the back, when we started getting it sewn in, game changer. Because it was that assumption that everyone was big, broad shoulder, whatever it might be. I actually remember, do you know Ange Everington? She does a load of stuff on social media. She's, I forget what her
I wish I had time to be on social media as much.
She's got like 100,000 something followers. I remember when she first did her first ever firefighter challenge, and literally that happened. Her straps had slipped off before she put her tunic on. She didn't realise. So she did the whole course. You can see the pictures of her with her shoulder straps hanging down around her waist and like trying to pull her leggings up and all that sort of
No.
jazz. But it happens easily. And people start doing things because they find a get around. People start crossing them
Yes.
over, don't they? And all that sort of stuff. And you're like, well, that's applying additional strain to the attachments on the leggings. And that is going to fail over time. You know what I mean? So you're not equipping people and then you're going to hit them over the head, the service world, because they're using a get around. Well, you didn't give me the thing to do it with. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
As on the pink kit, it's really, really nice. It's really quite high. And it just fits perfectly because we've got loads of shapes and sizes. You know, Sarah, Chrissy, me, Ryan's about 4'2", I think, maybe 4'3". You know, big, small, everybody's. And no, that was a game changer for it. But you're right. Otherwise, people will just put up with it and slowly begrudge it.
And there's been a lot of putting up for a long time. Amy Beams from Women in Fire Service, she did a really fantastic talk at the NFCC event this week. And again, she was talking about that very topic. You know, when we talk about women in the fire service, generally in people's brains, they're thinking about the more petite end of the spectrum. You've met me, I'm nearly 6 foot. Chrissy, she's a very tall lass as well. You know, women, again, are all different shapes and sizes. We have short bodies, long legs, big boobs, small boobs, you know, big bums. You know, women are coming back into the fire service after having children. And no matter how fit you are, depending on where you've been, sometimes your shape will never go back to where it was. And
Absolutely.
fire kit and any other kit needs to now adjust so women feel comfortable coming back into the fire service and not feel embarrassed by saying, I used to be a large regular and I'm actually thinking now I'm an XL. It doesn't matter. This is where we're now, coining the term fit for form. It needs to fit the form of the firefighter. We're not fitting your gender. We're not, we are fitting your form. So there's always predominantly been male and female kit. Sometimes you get a male that fits better in a female and the other way around. That shouldn't matter, but you can imagine more on the side of it that if a man's in a female kit, there's a bit of locker room, jibbing. But some people don't care and some people do. But this is where we're moving away from that. We need to now look at...
I've got quite a few leggings, which are actually women's leggings that I wear in the gym. Just
because you probably do a lot of squats and you've got curvy thighs.
I've got booty and thighs. You know what it's about. and honestly, the nicest colours usually from the women's section. The Gymshark stuff. Like
to go with your pink t-shirt. But again, why not?
Absolutely. I don't care.
So
we can have all of these
of everybody, not
we can have these stated desires and things that we want to do. But the world that keeps unveiling itself to me, which I know very little about, which I know you're an expert in, is like national frameworks and procurement and confusing big words and all. And there is money involved, a lot of money in different places, and rightly so, because everybody needs paying and all that sort of stuff. I say you buy well, you buy once. Do you know what I mean? You can get rubbish stuff and then it falls apart and da. We've all seen that with other brands. Help people, and I think it's still going through another review of some capacity, isn't it? The procurement thing it must probably going out soon. I don't know. What is it? Give me some broad brushstrokes, because to people in your world, they might be bored of hearing it. I promise you, to the vast majority of firefighters, they don't understand it. So what do, and again, no specific service or anything like that, but if we had to give some general brushstrokes, what do services put in these procurements? Are they done nationally? Are they done via regions? Can different services do whatever they like? How does it work?
So all of the above. So there is currently a national framework, which is currently MSA Bristol. We are the incumbent on that. That national framework is now going to be going out in July for the next iteration, and it is going to be a multi-supplier framework. So us as suppliers and as a manufacturer, along with our competition in the market and our, our channel partners, we will all be putting bids in to get onto this next national framework. There is going to be different lots, from a structural, lightweight PPE, and your full head-to-toe boots, gloves, flash hoods, helmets, and even laundry and decontamination.
Okay.
So that's the national framework.
I bet that's a big factor in this new lot.
It's a huge one.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, regionally, there is different frameworks.
What's the benefit of doing it nationally? Sorry, I'm going to keep interrupting.
Absolutely.
So does someone else do all the hard... Because for a company like MSA Bristol, with respect, like they've got a massive legacy and authenticity in the sector. So, I mean, it's the only reason, not the only reason, obviously, but we partner with them because it's it's an easy yes for us because I've known
Yeah.
about them for so long, worn it for so long. I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of the factories. But I imagine, with respect, there is a lot of Me Too startup people trying to crowbar into stuff. So is the idea of the national thing to make sure that everybody's doing things fairly and nobody's got slave labor or whatever? Like it's all done.
There is a new Procurement Act which has come out, so that now takes away the economical aspect of the tenders, so it makes it more advantageous. So you're not just going a race to the bottom on price. It allows for more innovation and more technological advances to come into the framework. The idea of the new framework is also to make sure that SMEs have a chance. We're a very niche market. Don't need to name them, but there's not many of us that are in this specific market. So it gives everybody a chance to play the big game on the national side of it. But as you said, there's a lot of
some
work
people can't supply though. With respect, these are my words, not yours. Like they can show you one version of a good thing, but some people just haven't got the capacity. And it's my words, just from people I speak to in different services.
That is what the framework will work to do. So now there is so much due diligence that needs to go into it. You have to prove your supply chain, not just from the next level down, but you have to prove if you've got a key partner that you're working with, you have to show that their supply chain is robust as well. So there's no collapsing at any point along. So as firefighters, you aren't left with garments and being left off the run.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. So it's and it's making sure that everyone's got the monetary backing for it as well, and everyone's got the passion behind it. That obviously can't be measured, but this is where after the framework's awarded and the suppliers are awarded onto that, that's really when the hard work starts, because it's speaking to the end users.
It's when the rubber meets the road. Can you do what you said you would do?
Yeah. So. And then if people choose not to go from the national framework, there is certainly...
So why would they do that? So give us an example. If we use the last one, I know it's outdated now, but like the last one, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So they put out a national framework and they say, for the UK Fire and Rescue Service, we are looking for this set of PPE. You must be able to provide these 5-7 things: a helmet, a flash hood, a jacket, a wildland facility,
there is no wildland on the current framework, and there won't be an individual wildland on the new framework. It will be a hybridised garment.
Ooh. Okie dokie. It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, by joining this, you'll not only support the future of the podcast, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, incident debriefs, and so much more. A growing collection of valuable resources to help you learn and grow. Your support in whatever way, dropping it in the WhatsApp group, sharing it on the local newsletter, whatever it is, it's incredibly valuable, and we really do support it, and we need it to make it a long-lasting resource, that legacy resource we always talk about for first responders, firefighters, and everybody everywhere who's ever been interested in joining the fire service. Now, if you're already supporting something, as many people do, it's totally cool. You can still access the podcast for free, and you'll always be able to access all the new episodes for free, but we're asking for your help to make this sustainable. And we want to keep growing, we want to keep sharing the insights, and we want to keep showcasing the incredible work happening in our community and our sector. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes.
So the new framework is going to have a hybrid option, which will meet 15384 for wildland and 16689 for technical rescue. And it will
Those are the numbers I remember as well, yeah.
And it will have a fixed membrane, so it will have that bloodborne pathogen membrane. And the reasoning behind that is, not all services have the financial backing to be able to have 3 sets of fire kit. There are services out there that have that 3 structure. They have a single layer wildland, they have a technical rescue option, and then they have their structural. Not all services, one, have the the money to be able to do that, or the storage, or the stowage. So the idea behind having it as a hybridised garment is that you've got that as an option. So you could wear that to wildland. It's your everything else option. So here's my structural. This is what's going to get contaminated. This is my BA wear. And here is my everything else option. I can wear this to wildland. I can wear it to technical rescue. If I'm in the truck going to a wildland and I get redirected to go to a tech rescue, I'm still compliant. If you get redirected to a structural, you're going to have, that's where you'll have your stowage with your structural kit on the truck. Okay. You might not have that stowage for all three of those garments. There's services that have dedicated teams, so they will have dedicated single layer wildfire, and there's certain people that don't do wildfire that just need that rescue. Yep. And that's where other frameworks can get utilised if that's what they need. So the options are all going to be there, but the framework's trying to do it so as much as possible is going to be covered from a national perspective, and there'll be different options.
That makes more sense. So yes. If people choose not to do the national framework, I don't know why they would, but they're then going to have to do all their own due diligence. So services can, if they want to, just ignore the national framework and speak to you or somebody else directly and try and go for a bespoke thing as well.
Yes. If what gets awarded onto a national framework isn't what a fire and rescue service decide fits their requirements, there is other frameworks where they can go out for mini competitions or direct awards to individual suppliers, as long as they've done their due diligence as part of the new Procurement Act and they can prove why they have chosen.
I can't understand why they would do that though. It seems like a big effort. We all pretty much do the same thing. I know if you're slightly rural, like Wales or Scotland. Are Wales and Scotland in this? Wales aren't, are they?
Scotland is on the current framework, and we have a separate care and maintenance facility that we specifically set up for them. It's in Livingston. Cool. Nice. Wales are with a different supplier. They chose to not go off the national, and they chose to go with a different supplier.
I know they do different stuff, like not massively different stuff, but like their water is one of their mandated things legislatively. So they have, and they live in obviously typically more rural areas. But I still can't understand why they wouldn't avoid the hard work of doing it themselves when, now, it's one of them things. We do so much siloed working in the fire and rescue service. It must be a nightmare for suppliers as much as it is baffling for the public. But
I would say I've definitely seen a shift in that. So with a lot of the events, obviously you was at the decontamination and particulate protection seminar the past 2 times, and we've really seen where certain services, you might have a service down south and one up north that potentially would never have had a conversation, even though they might sit on similar committees. Having these kind of events, the event that John Law did at the Lowry, the Invisible Risk seminar, there was 200 people in that room, all from different services, not just fire. They're interlinked now. All that data was shared, and they can share information. If somebody's working on a particular trial, they're now more than happy to say, oh yeah, actually, we're working on that. Would you like to hear the data? They'll have to do their own due diligence afterwards, but at least they're not starting from zero. They're not reinventing the wheel. They can now reach out to each other. And I've definitely seen in the past 3 years, that's really changed, and it's really encouraging because, like you say, you're all doing similar jobs. You're all, it's nice to know what each of you are doing and why you're doing it as well, and what's your thought process behind it, and what works for one might not work for another, but at least all that information's getting shared.
Yeah, we've seen each other a lot of decontamination stuff. Why are MSA so interesting? Like, it sounds like I'm throwing you a softball to talk about how much you care about firefighter cancer. I'm not pretending that you don't, but it's like, that's still all suggested, isn't it? Which is frustrating for me because I feel like the data is undeniable. But correct me if I'm wrong. How much is that being forced into? How much is that being bought into by our frameworks, or how much are people going, meh, like you should do decontamination, don't die? Like MSA are putting a lot of time into this. I don't know if that's just because you see it and you recognize it as a risk and you want to be ahead of the curve. But there'll be some people, as I hear in different services, going, well, until I'm made to do it, I'm not really, I get it, it sucks, but, we haven't got a lot of money, so.
Well, the next framework will have a separate decontamination lot as well as your standard care and maintenance lot. So that is actually getting brought into the next national framework. From our side, it's extremely important. I mean, we're not just a UK company, we're global. And obviously, a lot of this information that you're talking about started in America. So we have sites all over the world, and we make sure as teams we share that information. What's going on over there, what's going on here. And as you know, we've partnered with PGI Safety for their particulate flash hoods because they're the best flash hood on the market.
I was surprised you did that. It's nice to see because I love the PGI team, and obviously, total transparency, we do some work with them as well. But that really stands out for me as an acknowledgement of not trying to be really good at everything and perfect at nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like MSA have gone, we're really great at these things, and we recognize the value that you add in all the research that you've done there. So, that's quite rare, to be fair, because you could just go, we're the big whale, we'll swallow everybody. And
we recognise our key partners are experts in what they do. Obviously, it's our job to then learn. As a salesperson, it's my job to learn why that's important. And we don't, as a safety company, we don't just take on, any man and his dog. For us, customer is 1, 2, and 3. And our president, Steve Blanco, he even says, if we're partners with somebody and then their ethos changes and it doesn't fit in with the messaging that we have, we will no longer work with that person.
Game over. Yeah.
We vet our supplies really thoroughly, and we make sure that we're partnering with people that have the same message as us, that really care that it's about safety. We want to make sure people are safe, and now we're looking at it's the health of it as well. They say we have these, we've got 3 care and maintenance facilities within the UK, and we've been doing this for a number of years, and it's just further improving them. Since I've been with MSA, I've been there nearly a year, be a year next Wednesday. The whole campus has completely changed. It's fantastic. You've been down, you've seen it. It's a huge campus. The whole thing's changed, and it's.
I love the sky rail. That was like, I was like,
brilliant.
Oh, that is such a great. That reminds me of the work that I used to do in factories and stuff like that. I was like, great idea, love it, because most people don't think about that.
No, and it's making sure that you have your area, so everything dirty comes in one area, and then it's not that there's your contaminated area, and then it moves through the system, and people aren't rifling through bags and sticking faces into things, because we care about the health of our staff as well.
Oh yeah.
And it's, if you speak to a lot of people.
Who's that guy that's been there for like 30 years?
Nearly 40, Terry. He's
what a lovely bloke.
I know, absolutely fantastic. And
he was really nice. He is so knowledgeable and so passionate about it. There's a lot to be said for someone that wants to stay with the company 40 years. Both of the person, but especially
like that.
I always say people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad leaders. Do you know what I mean? And he's been there 40 years, which says how diligent you guys and girls are about the people you bring into the organisation. Because most people, even in fire services, they won't stay in things for 40 years anymore. But I think the difference in your work is you have to be good at it. Like, my words, not yours. There can be a lot of deadwood in fire and rescue services, and it's kind of like a job for life, even if you bang average at it. But in your world, you have to have A-class players. You have to have a team of Avengers. You have to care, but you also have to be good at your job. You can't wing it.
Yeah. It's, I say the work that we do, it's not like with yourselves, it's not a 9 to 5 job. There's events, there's seeing customers, and if a firefighter needs to have a meeting with me, but he's on, I deal with airports as well. If they're on, certain shifts, you're flexible with your customers, because I'm not just, oh no, I'm sorry, it's 5 o'clock, I finished now, are you on tomorrow? Actually, no, I'm not on shift now, I'm on a 4 and 4, I'm not going to see you for a month.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. You have to have that passion and that drive, and you need the support. I've got a fantastic husband.
You have to have a lot of trust as well, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Trust. That's what I love about, it's get the result, make the connection, do whatever you need to do to work with these individuals and make them feel heard, make them feel listened to. Where if you were if someone's like, oh no, I need to know your timesheet and you need to work 9 to 5, people hate that. I hate that. You're like, you're not paying me to do it, you're paying me to make a good connection. So I'm going to do this. And also, you want to get that balance right. We said about family before. You know what I mean? You want to stay and grow with the company. Definitely. I think we miss that in the fire service. We get it on stations, in headquarters. We're really not very good at it in a lot of places. Oh, it's a rough one. But I think there's so much we can learn from the corporate world. Because like I say, you guys and girls have to get it right. You have to treat your people right, or they will leave. Because you're top talent. You will leave. Go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? But in the fire service, it's like we have these golden handcuffs. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you just said a key word there. Listen. that is what the predominance of our job is, to listen.
Yeah.
You know, you listen, you hear what's going on, you hear what, you know, it might be something that sounds so little to somebody with an untrained ear, but to a firefighter, like you say, something to do with a brace. Mm-hmm. It is a key part of that protective equipment. And if that is failing, that's a distraction. And that distraction, you don't want to think where that can lead to. So you listen, and then you can also consult as well. So once you've been in the industry a while, you listen to people that have got more information than you learn. Our compliance manager, Richard, is an absolute wealth of knowledge. I love listening to him and I love talking standards with him. And you learn so much from that. So knowing where the standards sit also help you to work with the firefighters, work with the design team to know where you can be from a compliant perspective as well as a nice design perspective. And it brings that full package in. And it's not just
also
me going,
you get
hey,
champions,
would you like to buy some
because
fire kit?
then people know they've been heard, they see the result of what they asked for, and then they champion it. Because they almost take a bit of ownership of it. They're like, oh yeah, I remember speaking to that lady Vicki about it, and they've gone and done that was my idea. Do you know what I mean? And probably 1,000 people said the same thing, but each of them will feel listened to, because I always say people will stop dropping pennies of feedback into the well if they don't hear any splashback. They'll just give up. They'll go, well, you're not listening to me anyway. It's like when people do cultural reviews and then nothing happens. And people go, well, I'm going to stop giving feedback then, because nothing happens. Whereas with you guys and girls, and you see it in the end product of the PPE, there's been so many changes and people feel that cyclic sort of feedback loop and how it's continuous, like marginal gains with all of the stuff, like you said about Christian, all of those 1%. That's what he's always looking for. Yeah. And he's so damn good at it.
He is. He's brilliant.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
So getting down with the firefighters for him is invaluable because he can ask them the minute things. So something really simple, say the arm pocket, where's the tab? Where does that tab need to be to open? Are you over here?
Which way it goes.
It looks so simple, but it
was mind-boggling when he was asking us questions about the pink kit. He was like, "What would you like? Put your hand naturally to your left-hand side if you were going to," and it's like where it lands. He looked and he's like, "Right, well then that doesn't need to be there because that's ergonomically not what you would do, and that unknowingly, once you've done that 1,000 times, that's going to annoy you. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it here, and those little things." They will make the game changer of a difference. They really are massive. You don't think about it in the moment. You're like, well, I'm not really that bothered, but you're a little bit bothered. And I promise you that will grow. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that because it's easy to change it now before we make the thing. Do you know what I mean? Let's just do it. And if it's an impossible ask, like I want to have a third arm, and you go, well, I appreciate you might like that, people. It's not really justifiable, so maybe not. I want to have another zip here. And you go, well, that's within the realm of possibility. Let's look at it. Thing is, every time you cut a garment and every time you put another zip or another pocket on it, you're interfering with it. So I appreciate from his perspective, it's like how to do that in the most efficient way to not start to, because the thing is with all the layers as well, like you say, you're creating a contract. I didn't realize this, every time you put something on a garment, like if you go out and get a different reflective stripe that goes on it or something like that, you can't just bang anything on it. Like you as a service can't go, we'll get this, but actually we'll get the extra thingy bob from so-and-so. And you're like, no. Do not put that on the kit because we will not guarantee it. Because it's like me, buying a house and then putting my own cladding on it and going, well, you built the house. No. You just decided to put that thing on it. If you'd have asked me for that, I'd have looked at it. I'd have got you an appropriate one, and I'd have made sure it didn't interfere with the rest of the building. You've just gone off on your own there. What are you doing? Just talk to me.
Just make sure it's compliant and that everything meets meets the correct standards and doesn't interfere with, like you say, doesn't interfere with something else.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to me about the helmets thing, because I always just was under the impression that MSA always just used to do those one and only approach to helmets, but there's quite a raft and variety, and it's interesting to see that we're finally starting to see those feed out onto the trucks in terms of recognizing the impracticality and discomfort that using a structural firefighting helmet and its design, whilst it's ideal for one environment, it's completely inefficient for others.
Yeah, well, we've got two helmets. We've got the F1XF, which is our dedicated structural fire helmet, and then we have an F2XR, which is the latest version. The old one was called the F2 Extreme. So the F2XR is water rescue, it's working from heights, it's wildland, and it's technical rescue. So again, it's your everything other than structural fire. So that is what you would not. So your F1XF is what you'd wear into a burning building, structural fire. Your F2XR is your everything else. And the difference is that obviously if you have an everything all in one helmet, you need to have that weight and the structure of the helmet to meet the worst case, which is the structural. So you're heavier. Whereas if you've got your F2XR, you've got your dedicated other helmet, it's more lightweight, it's more ergonomic. It sits differently on the head. You don't need it to be as far down from the standard perspective. So
that sort of side face coverage, is there a standard as to where that needs to go to? Is that what the wraparound is for?
Yeah, exactly. And then the same as the visor as well, making sure where that sits. There's a standard for that. So the visor has a separate standard to the actual helmet. And then it's something simple like positioning of lighting. So from a weight perspective, some people, it's very subjective. You could have lights on the sides, you could have a light in the middle, and it depends where that weight distribution is to how you feel that pulling on the neck.
Wow. Why? Because you guys and girls have the lovely side elements that we can add onto all of the kit as well. I much prefer that. Like, can people opt in and out of where they have the attachments? I imagine they're bolt-ons.
So the helmet comes as a shell, and then there's obviously all the accessories that you can add on. So even a visor, there's two different visors. There's a clear and then there's a gold. That's a choice.
The gold one. The gold one just looks cool. It just looks cooler.
A lot of people moved away from the gold because at RTCs it's reflective. But that goes into our initial conversation.
For the casualty won't like it.
Why would you be wearing a structural fire helmet to an RTC? So there's no reason you can't have the gold helmet for a structural fire helmet as long as you're wearing it for the right application. And then you've got your F2XR, your everything else helmet, which is the clear visor, which is for your technical rescue. It's a smaller shell. You can get into the vehicles. It's not as much weight on your head.
Question. Does it say anything about full face coverage for, I'm going to say the RTC helmet, but I wouldn't know the correct terminology, the rescue helmet. Does it say about full face coverage?
So the visor, I don't have one here actually, they're in my garage. So the visor does have to go down to a certain point, so that would be as part of the standard.
Because I know services, when I've been assessed with endpoint assessments with a national company that I work with, some places only talk about eye protection.
Yeah, so you can just have the goggles.
They just put their goggles down anyway.
There's the internal goggles, you can have like half visor, or you can have those goggles that you can have, or there's a full face visor that you can attach as well.
I feel like we should. I appreciate full face visors steam up when people don't like them very much with the road traffic because you get awfully sweaty. I get that. But things bounce off cars. I've seen God knows how many projectiles and when you're cutting a tool and stuff like that. And when I go to these services, one of them's a very big service, and they say, no, it's just eye protection. And I'm like, what if one of them things hits you in the face? And then something will pop off during the drill. It won't hit anybody, but I'll be like,
Yeah.
It's all one of those personal preference things again, but I just go, it's so weird that we make our firefighters do different things in that capacity.
Yeah.
One of those random segues.
No, different services have different rules as well, as long as they followed their own internal processes.
Well, I imagine cars are different in that part of the country.
The products that they've got. That's my diplomatic answer.
Love it. What was the one that I was looking at that had the detachable membrane when we were down there?
So that is the X4 Rescue Wildland Hybrid.
That's not out yet, is it?
It is. It's not out in the UK market. We have it out in our export markets at the moment.
Why are we always last?
Yeah. This is
We're
where
like
I
10
was
years
talking
behind the
about-
rest of the world all the time. I hate it.
This is where I was saying we listen to what's going on in other markets and we adapt those to the market that we're in at the moment. So that particular garment has a detachable membrane. So on the tunic, it's got a zip in and zip out membrane. So you could remove that liner for wildland firefighting. So it gives you that single layer, gives you that breathability, gives you that comfort. You zip that back in and you've got your bloodborne pathogen membrane for technical rescue. And in the trousers, it's on a popper system. So again, you could pop those out and then you can pop them back in again.
MSA are supporting us on today's podcast, and I chose to partner with them because I've been wearing this stuff for nearly 20 years, and they are the global leader in development, manufacture, and supply of incredible, safe products that really protect people, not just our communities out there, but also first responders, most importantly, all over the world. Get yourself over to MSA and have a look at it. The high-performance protective clothing for emergency services responders. They also partner with us on the UK Pink Firefighters. That's because we love them. The helmets with the reflective visor, the F1XF, absolutely epic helmet. And not forgetting how they improve firefighter safety through their connectivity and the connected firefighter platform. MSA are always pushing the envelope, and it's a real privilege to be able to continue to grow our partnership together. So whether it's your PPE, your bunker gear, your helmets, your SCBA, your thermal imaging, your Luna, or your portable gas detection, both of us know that this equipment needs to work. It needs to be high quality, reliable, and dependable in the moment. And that's why I use MSA, because they know what's at stake.
Love that. So you still have all of the heat, flame, flash protection for the wildland stuff, but it stops people walking around in their t-shirts.
Yes.
Because they've still got... That's a good idea. Why didn't we do that ages ago? Because like the old gear, you had to unzip it from the bottom and you turn it inside out. I could never seem to get the bloody thing to fit properly again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's been quite a nice move having a tunic and a trouser for wildland, because predominantly that was done in coveralls. And then what you would see people doing is unzipping it and having the top part hanging down over there.
Yeah.
That area.
Less than ideal.
Yes.
So where's that available now? Is that going to be... Can people actually get that if they wanted to? Could they set up... Because I think,
Absolutely.
again, places like Wales, there's a couple of places down south, there's many, I think 60% of the UK fire service is on-call retained because we have so many rural areas. And as you've already alluded to, it is a massive growing concern. Whether you do or don't believe in the environmental change, the fact of the matter is we're having significantly more wildland firefighters. That's why there's been a big move with the National Fire Chiefs Council to formalise a lot of our guidance on how we approach these operationally. But again, all you're going to end up doing there is getting people working a bit harder and a bit better in the same environment without the right gear, not the right gear, with the old stuff. So this is available to people now, because I think there's people making a lot of moves for it. You see people buying equipment to deal with wildfires, but you still see them using a lot of the old PPE, unfortunately.
Structural firefighting gear, yeah. I mean, there is dedicated wildfire teams that I do know of that have single layer wildfire garments, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, this is an item, so we've got it out in our export markets, and we will have that onto the YPO. So the YPO is a mini competition or a direct award framework that all the UK Fire and Rescue Services can procure from. Most of us as suppliers and manufacturers, again, we have to go through a vigorous process to get awarded onto there, and it's a 4-year framework, I do believe. And there's a lot, and again, there's a lot of services that can be your combination garment, because you might not have the budgetary availability to have a separate wildland and then a rescue. And it goes into stowage as well. You know, a lot of I've got a lot of friends in the fire service. They joke about having little trailers on the back of fire trucks, or roof boxes, and
that's what we're going to need. Some capacity like that, because it's limited space, and fire engines are actually getting smaller. So you know we have to start. When I went over to the Netherlands and I was speaking to them about ladders, I said, "Oh, you all got quite small ladders on your trucks," and he's like, "Most of our trucks haven't got any ladders on them." And I was like, "Huh?" But then I zoom back and I go, "How often do we use these things operationally?" Now you use your triple extension ladder, you use your small ladder quite often to get access over gates and to first floors and all that sort of stuff. But our big 12 meters, 13.5 meter ladders, we drill with them all the time.
Yeah.
Operationally, we really don't use them very much. And I just think that is a massive, heavy thing. And I, no threat to, some of the big ladder. I think there's the people that provide most of the ladders, I think they've got like 90% of the UK market anyway, so there might be a slight concern for them. But, I think that's one of the things we're going to get rid of a lot Again,
Wow.
just as we evolve with the equipment and stuff that we carry on our fire engines, ultimately it has to be there to serve the first responder. You just do, like a matrix of frequency of use, and you go like 2 sets of kit, where you go, well, how many times are we going to have to use 2 sets of kit? Well, with decontamination, every incident that we go to, we're going to need that. So you're either going to pay for another vehicle, which a lot of services do now, to come out and drive around and just travel around the patch of the whole organization all the time with kit in its thing, or we'll need to really have some consideration, because also that vehicle can only be in one place at one time.
Exactly.
So ultimately, firefighters are still going to be, they just want to get back. Or people still need help. So they'll just go, okay, yeah, I know I've done a wear, but my other spare kit's not with me, so I'm just going to help out anyway. And we're like, that's not fair. We're not setting you up for success. We're encouraging
what you.
Said
there, that 2 sets of kit has historically been structural fire kit that you as firefighters are wearing to every incident. So you're actually, every, all the fire kit has a certain number of washes. If you're wearing that to an RTC when you don't actually need to, and say you've crawled through, broken glass, and then you've torn something or you've ripped something.
Yeah.
You've actually...
Ironically, I bet that's where most of it happens. When you see the patches all over him, it's caught on an RTC on a B post or something like that. End of the incident, and they're just ripping it. And you go, this is a really expensive thing. It's like if it was your kids, you'd say, wear your other trainers when you go out and play in the garden, please. Don't wear those ones. Why are you sending your kids
to nursery in the Sunday best when all they need is, they need their not saying that the rescue options are, are a lesser product.
No, but it's a different environment.
You don't need a 3-layer structural firefighting garment to attend a wildland fire.
Yeah.
That's, again, so you can preserve the life of your structural fire kit, keep it for the contaminated wares, for the job that it was made to do, and then have this, either a rescue or a hybridized option, single layer, 2-layer, single layer for wild and 2-layer for your rescue. You're more dexterous, you can get in and out quicker, you potentially can, help your casualty quicker. I don't have any statistics on that, so I can't confirm, but from speaking on the ground,
definitely say that, 100%.
Then if you've got your smaller helmet, you've got your rescue helmet on instead of your structural helmet. Again, it's thinking about all these areas, and this is where we look at this as a whole. This is why we do the Voice of Customer events, to speak to you all, to find out, how do you feel crawling into a vehicle in a fire kit with a fire helmet on? Most of the time I hear I'm restricted, it's
too big, I'm too big for it.
And exactly.
With all that gear on. The thing I used to feel worse about, this is really gross, I sweat a lot. Yeah. So when there's someone and I'm trying to talk to them and I'm dripping sweat on them, that's not cool. That's really, you're like, you just want to apologise for it. And you're like, I am just so goddamn sweating. Hot. Yeah. And my helmet's too big and my fire kit is, I'm wearing this big sleeping bag. It's just like, I'm just sweating non-stop. And ironically, most people have more crashes, my bro science numbers in the air, in the summer when they get the nice car out or they're in the motorbike and they take on, people go, oh, it's raining, do you think you're going to have more crashes? I'm like, no, probably not. When it's a nice sunny day, we'll get more, because people go and open up the car in a rural environment on the fast back roads. They have a crash. We show up in our structural gear and we are absolutely sweating buckets. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Walking across the field where they've lost it on the corner. And then, we just end up stripping down. And then if you haven't got your other stuff with you, you're going to catch your arm on something, and then someone will tow you off and you have to put your sweaty gear back on, and then it won't dry out in time for when you need it for the structural fire later. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
I want to take a minute to just tell you about something that I think you're going to be really interested in. Next September, firefighters from across the UK and Ireland will be travelling to Atlanta, Georgia for something truly special. It's the United for 9/11. It's the Memorial Stair Climb. Now, this isn't just any event. It's a once-in-a-generation tribute where 343 firefighters, one for every FDNY firefighter who gave their life on September 11th, will climb 110 floors in their honour. It's about more than just a physical challenge. It's about remembering sacrifice, pushing ourselves, and standing shoulder to shoulder across services and across nations. It's a chance to honour the legacy of 9/11, to pay tribute to our fallen firefighters and to test your mental and physical strength, and to raise an awareness around mental health and resilience in the fire service. Whether you take part in this climb or not, support from home, or simply help spread the word, you can be part of it. This is about unity, remembrance, and respect. So if you want to learn more, head over to www.memorialstairclimb.co.uk, or on Instagram, check out united_911climb. This is going to be something powerful. I hope you can make it. I hope you can support it. Now back to the show.
A lot of services are starting to look at not just, obviously they're looking at the right kit for the right application, but they're also looking at it from a level perspective. Now, do we need, say, watch managers and above? Do we need them in structural fire kit? Are they actually donning BA? Are they going into the fire? No. So
most of them don't have a ticket anymore. They're not qualified to.
And they could be stood around in the wet. Say it's,
why are we giving a station manager fire kit? What are we doing? Why are we giving a chief fire officer?
Yeah, chief gets two for most places.
Why are we giving them structural fire kit? This is ridiculous.
Because it's historical, it's legacy, and it's changing that narrative, and it's getting that educational piece across to the fire services that, you know, you can still look the part of the level that you are and actually have a kit. Instead of standing around in the rain, you could have the rescue stretch on, for example. Not trying to sell to you, it's a level 4 for waterproofness, so you're going to be dry. And if it's cold, you layer up it underneath. Because it's a stretch fabric, you could put your soft shell underneath and you're still, you know, you've still been able to move in it, but you're dry. You're not stood around in structural fire kit, and then you stood around and you potentially got sweaty in it.
Plus, it's not so big and bulky for them to carry around in their cars, because they're all in their own, you know, cars, and they've got everything in the back. And there's bulky, massive fire gear and, you know, enormous boots, and you just think you're never gonna use it. You put it on and just then get annoyed that it's too warm. It is. I've never thought about that, you know, till our conversation. I've just gone, what are we doing that for? Do you know what I mean? It's like giving them a dry suit. And go, what, are you going to go in the water, are you? No, we're not going to bloody give you one then, are we? Do you know what I mean? Why would we do it?
These are the conversations that we can steer, and we can make sure that we engage with those end users, and also, you know, engage with those levels to find out if they potentially aren't going to be done in structural firefighting kit. How do they want that to look? You know, they want to make sure, you know, their ranks, you know, it's important. You know, you've worked hard, you've got that rank, you want to be identified, but it doesn't mean you have to stand in structural fire kit. So we engage. It just
means you have a different coloured helmet. That's all that matters. That's literally the only difference.
But there's different things that you can do. You know, if you don't want to wear a yellow rescue jacket, the rescue stretch, it comes in red. You could have red, and that could be your management and above, for example. It's just changing the narrative of how the legacy. How
you know what? I'd be interested to see what those numbers are, because that might be a big cost saving. You know, if we said, what we're going to say. So I would say, watch manager and below probably make up 65%, 70%. Of a service's operational capability. So that's maybe 30%, including all of your station managers, area managers, group commanders, you know, all of that jazz, chief senior leadership team. I bet that's 25, 30% in some services. You know, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm way off there. What do you reckon it is? Maybe it's less. Is it 15%?
I honestly couldn't.
I know.
But if you said that, say that was the figure, you know, finger in the air, say 25% was the finger in the air, you know, back of a packet. That, you know, structural fire kit is more expensive than, you know, your hybridised option or your rescue option or your wildland option. You might free up some budget to be able to get the right application for the right job and not have kit sat there. I mean, this is where, again, so obviously a lot of services are on a fully managed option. So again, they're leasing that kit, so they have the option to swap out kit. Yeah. Services that purchase their garments, when you have firefighters leave or change sizes, you're then left with that fire kit and it's just sat there. And again, if they get to a certain level, unless they can use that for new recruits, you've got a lot of money's worth of fire kit sat there, potentially unused and not needed, because that person is never going to be going into that burning building donning BA.
No. And it's nice that they'll then, you know, work with Fire Aid and send it to a third world country or something like that. But with respect, MSA and all the other companies do that anyway. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, it doesn't make a good... If it was a business, which we need to treat it like, if it was your business, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it.
Public procurement, and, you know, budgets get cut, budgets are getting looked at. You have to justify down to the penny, absolutely. But this is where, though, sometimes need to dig a little bit deeper. Obviously, as manufacturers, we do our bit to keep the costs down, production, etc. But we now know a lot about what's going on in the market. And if firefighters need a different kit for their 93% of what they're doing, instead of buying everybody 2 sets of structural fire kit, we need to have a look at what that model looks like. And that's what we're working with fire and rescue services on, to see really how does that work. And as suppliers, what can we do to help with that?
You know what? All joking aside, that's my one big takeaway from this conversation. It's something I am going to challenge in the organisations that I work for.
Good.
I'm like, why have you got fire kit? And they'll be like, some people will be like, because I want one. Okay, well, yeah, it just ego rub or whatever, I'm like, yeah, okay, but you don't even need one. It's expensive
Probably a
stuff.
bizarre thing for a UK sales manager.
If I asked you to buy it
but
yourself, I'd say you can have one if you want. Everyone can have one, but you've got to buy it yourself. They go, no, I'll do without. It's not really, it's not crucially safe, safety critical for the environments that I'm going to work in. I'm never going to go in the thing.
No.
That's a real, like, thinking differently. That's when we talk about neurodiversity. Do you know what I mean? And that's what, with respect, when I visit the factory, there's loads of people in your organization that think really differently about stuff. Yeah. The problem solving capacity from having lots of different people from lots of different sectors.
That's why it's great having everybody on the one site, because I don't live down in Bristol, I live up in the north of England, but I'm down there, and then we get together, and our design team is on site, our supply chain are on site, our production facility is on site. You get the team coming up to Christian and going, all right, I think this and this. He goes down there and says, look, I'm designing this. How is this going to work from a sewing perspective? How would this work from a laundry perspective? He engages with our service centre manager to make sure that everything we do works across all levels. So we're not giving you guys something that then comes in and we can't repair it, because that's not environmentally sound, that's not sustainable, and that isn't helping anybody. We need to make sure all of those come, and having that facility in-house in Bristol.
It's like a quality impact assessment, isn't it, basically?
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Yeah. I always say there's no solutions, only trade-offs. Something might help you better, but it's going to cost somebody else something else. And the needs of the many have to outweigh the needs of the few, or the one single department or individual that just wants this certain thing.
So this is where the need, we do have people that, like yourself, made to measure. We have those facilities to do the made to measure as well. But it's those things that you don't just go, oh, well, actually, no, he doesn't fit the norm, or she doesn't fit the norm. No, everybody has a chance to be a firefighter as long as they pass, the testing, and they're, why can't somebody do that? It doesn't matter who you are or, what your background is. If you choose to be a firefighter, it's something to be proud of. Going into any force or service, and we need, as manufacturers and suppliers, we need to make sure we have those solutions. Like you joked about Ryan, he's short. We get women that are 4'10", might have a size. My 5-year-old's got size 2 feet. He's probably got bigger feet than some of the women in the fire service.
Yeah.
We need to find. We need a solution for them.
Yeah,
you might get somebody. My oldest brother's 6'6". He's like you. He's a bit of a beast. Yeah. He's got size 13 feet. There's people I know with size 14, 15. Everyone's different.
There is some really tall some really tall people all over the world, but there's some really tall firefighters out there. Like when we go into some of the challenges now, I'm like average size. You see some people telling me like, "Oh my god,
that's
what are they
crazy.
Feeding people in blooming Lancashire?" Do you know what I mean? I'm like, good lord. But no, it's a very valid point to make. We've covered so much in our conversation today. I know what we're like. You and I almost forgot we're recording for a minute because we could just go for hours and hours and hours. There's lots happening. We've got the new framework that will get wrapped up and boxed off. You guys and girls are looking really, really strong with how you've tailored stuff for the challenges of this kind of evolving world of the UK Fire and Rescue Service. If people want to find out a little bit more information, I know so many of you are going to be obviously absolute women in the fire service this year. You'll be at a lot of the Firefighter Challenge events. But for those in the senior leadership positions that want a more formal conversation, where's the best place for them to sort of reach out? I know we'll put a link to your LinkedIn, but if they want to have that conversation, where's the best place for them to go?
They can either go to the website and come to us via the info team, which then will pass it on directly. Say, come to me directly on my LinkedIn. I'm actually doing a workshop at the Women in Fire Service as well this year.
Nice.
So if people want to come and speak to me about what we're doing at the Women in Fire Service, I'll be there across the few days, got the workshop, and then I'll be free for any conversations. If people want to come down and see what we're doing, come and see us, meet what I've just spoken about our design team and compliance and everything we've got in-house. Come and see us. absolutely, that's absolutely fine. Like, get in touch with me. Most people in the sector know me. If you haven't got my email address, please reach out and I can, pass that on to you. We're always happy to have these conversations and, keep moving this. And if you've got some concerns that haven't yet been addressed, tell us.
It's fine. Even if you feel like, you said to me so many times, there's no stupid questions. So much of the stuff for me. And also, there's a lot of people moving into new procurement positions because we're going through so much retirement. A lot of people don't have the background on stuff. So, if you want that, private, trusted conversation to just go, I don't understand what this is. I know this is a concern. What's the difference? I'm lucky enough that I don't worry about looking stupid. So a lot of the stuff I don't understand, people think I should know because we've worked with MSA for so long. I'm like, no, I just really like the stuff and I know it works and they're a cool bunch of people. But even during our conversation today, it's made me think differently about how we equip people suited to the role, fit for role, like you were speaking about. I think that is a really interesting way for us to reframe the way that we equip people appropriately for their roles, for their duties, and for the environments that they're working in. So if people want to go and find a bit more, there'll be some notes below, but people know who MSA are. Links are on every single episode.
Myself, there's a whole team of us. I mean, my boss, Kevin Tompkins, everyone will know him. He's been in this company nearly 20 years. He's
the bold smiley guy in all the photos, if people aren't sure. So when I take photos, that's the guy that's with me usually. He's lovely, and he was a big driver behind the pink stuff with you as well. Right, summer love to all of the team, summer love to Pete and the kids, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Well, catch you soon.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.